Hey guys, what's going on? Katie Day down here in Houston, Texas, with my good friend, notorious Stephen Kim Group out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, here for another episode of the Real Advice Podcast. Really excited to welcome this week's guest. Prior to this recording, we actually realized that we all had met at the same event in Orlando, all three of us together. So that was fun, reminiscing of the memories that we kind of had / didn't have. But this week's guest, I'm really excited to dig in with. I first met him via social media in a real estate TV group that we were in, and he puts out really good videos. This was years ago. So since then, his videos have, I wouldn't say they were bad before, but they've significantly improved. The production quality is so high. They're freaking hilarious. So you're going to have to pause this podcast to go follow him on Instagram. But he is a badass husband and father, a U.S. Navy veteran. So thank you for your service. And then two things I didn't know is that he is not only a dog lover, but also a burrito enthusiast. Please join me in welcoming Shane Burgman to the show today.
Woo, our very first burrito enthusiast.
Burrito enthusiast.
First, but like
no, the first one to probably publicly acknowledge it on a social channel. I think that's me. And the videos were awful. You can say that. I think it's all right when you have someone that's creating content to say your early shit sucked, but you're better now. I think it's like a term of endearment and probably a compliment. So they were bad. They were really, really freaking bad.
Well, either way, I think they're great now. I think we can all agree that they're great now. And seriously, like the production quality, like we'll dig into all of that, but it just like, I love what you're putting out. It makes me laugh. Your listing videos are epic. So yeah, I guess let's dig in. Let's just hop in. Tell us, like, for the people that don't know you, who you are, where you're from, all that.
Yeah. So great intro. Thank you for that, Katie and Stephen, Kim. Always great to see both of you guys. First time in person was amazing. And this time I think will be a lot of fun too in the video format. But my name is Shane Burgman. I am a sales partner with the Carpenter Castle home selling team, and our brokerage is Compass. Relatively new to that space there. And I've been a real estate agent for going on 6 years. And as Katie alluded to earlier in the introduction, I spent 10 years of my life in the Navy, specifically in the submarine force. So a submariner is what we call ourselves, where we're 1% of the military, which the military population is already 1% of the world. We're 1% of that 1%. So it's a very kind of like elite and exclusive group of, at that point when I was in, it was only men, and now they've opened it up to both men and women. And it was a completely different atmosphere, completely different world, completely different environment than real estate. So I did that for 10 years, and then I've been doing real estate for now 6. So
walk us through the transition. So you're a submariner, and then all of a sudden, the light bulb goes off one day, and you're like, you know what?
I'm gonna go sell houses.
I'm gonna sell houses. Like, we'll talk about a total, flipping the script, right? Like,
and there was a lot of things, and this whole talk I could go on for a very long time about it. But to boil it down, really what it was. So I was enlisted. So in the military, you have enlisted and commissioned. Enlisted guys are the ones that work. The commissioned ones are the ones that tell people what to do and don't really have too much job experience. And I can say that because I was enlisted, and I can talk shit about our commissioned officers. But when you're thinking about military and scale and wanting to, make a career out of it, not to badmouth enlisted world, but for me, I wanted that next kind of stage in my military career, and to me that was going commissioned officer. And so I did 10 years enlisted, 10 years in the submarine world, and I kind of got to this crossroads in my life to where I was like, I'm halfway to a pension, halfway to retirement. I would have retired at 39 years old because I joined when I was 19, so I could have done my 20 years before I was even 40 and had a pension for the rest of my life. But got to a point where I said, I don't want to be on a, we can swear on this, right? Like I don't even know what
I think we've all already dropped dropped some bombs.
And I don't swear a lot. I mean, I'm a sailor, so I feel like I can get away with that a little bit more. But when I swear, it's like I'm emphasizing. So I don't want to be on a fucking submarine any longer, man. 10 years of that life was a really challenging point of everything. So I got to a point where I said, you know what, if I'm going to do the military, I want to go pilot. I want to go Navy aviator, and I want to go commissioned. So spent about 9 months of my military career interviewing, putting together you have to put together a package to go from enlisted to commissioned. It's very difficult. And ultimately I was asking to go from there's not a lot of missile technicians, and that's what I did in the military. There's not a lot of those guys. So the Navy does not want them to leave and cross rate or go to a different job. So they try to hold you there. But I had everything going for me. I had a great package. I was Sailor of the Year before that. I had all the accolades I needed to put together my package. And I said, you know, if my calling in life is military, I'll get selected. And if not, I'm going to do something vastly different. And so obviously I'm here now. So we know that, like, you know, spoiler alert, I didn't get selected to go pilot, but that's how I would have done it on my terms. And so as soon as those results came out that I was not selected, and to give you like perspective on that, there's between 400 and 500 people every year that get selected out of the entire Navy. There's like hundreds of thousands of enlisted servicemen and women. So 400 to 500 of those people get selected. And each year between 2 and 4 of that 400 to 500 get selected to go pilot. So I already knew my odds were low, but I was like, if this is my fate, I'll get selected. So wasn't selected. I remember I was in my car, I was driving out to Orlando, and I had like my phone on me, and I was like a maniac, like constantly every day refreshing the page to see when the results would come out. Yeah. Finally, they came out, pulled off to the side of the road, and my last name Burgman, I knew was going to be at like the top of the list. I pull over, I do like a deep breath, refresh the page, look, and it went from like last name A to last name D, like completely skipped over B and C. And I was like, oh shit. And it was like a gut punch, like, oh man, I really wanted it. And then I was like, well, now I know I'm done. And it made like my separation from the military that much easier, because I knew I put everything that I could to go one direction. Didn't work out. So then I focused on getting a job outside of the military, and started interviewing with a bunch of other contractors. At the time, I still had a top secret clearance. We worked on nuclear missiles, a very different thing that I do now. So there are these contractors that wanted to absorb us and pick us up and hire me. And I had jobs in DC, Washington State, some shithole in Indiana called Crane. If you work there or live there, I'm sorry. And local.
Our viewership's going to suffer after this. Yeah. Like Crane, Indiana is like one of our biggest
Crane,
cities,
Indiana. They're going to unsubscribe all of it. Yeah. Crane's huge. And so I kind of had all these offers, and, you know, the compensation was good. Everything about it was like decent. But then I had to kind of take a step back and be like, okay, these contracting jobs are kind of the same thing I'm doing in the military. Why am I going to leave the same job I'm doing when I could that much closer to a pension to do the same shit for a little bit better pay, but now I'm a civilian instead of in a uniform? So I said, no, I can't do this. I need to, you know, pursue something vastly different. And little history in the military about me is I was always, I don't want to say disgruntled about this, but upset that you get paid based on a ranking system, and you can only advance based on how long you've been at that certain rank and then certain tests. So being the rank I was, I would like to consider myself always kind of a hard worker and someone who's going to show up, and my work ethic has been relatively strong. But if the guy next to me was the same rank, and maybe the night before he went out and got hammered, which we all do that anyway, but someone was going to operate a little bit better on that. But he's like fucking done, right? He needs to sleep in the bilge. He can't work. The job still needs to get done. So now here I am taking on his job and mine, but we're both getting paid at the same at the end of the day. And that always just grinded my gears, and it upset me to the point to where I wanted to get into a job, into an atmosphere, or at least into an environment where my compensation was directly correlated to the amount of work and effort I put into something. And I did not want to have kind of a cap on that, whether it was salary, hourly, whatever. And so sifting through all the jobs in that, it's sales. Everyone kind of knows that's how we get paid. And then it just so happened around that same time I was purchasing my first house, because strategically I knew I was about to get out of the military, and I knew I wasn't going to have guaranteed income. So to use my VA loan at the time, I needed to show that I had a job. So I bought my house, knew I was separating, and 6 months later, and I loved the process of it. My agent, I actually saw her last weekend, and we took a little selfie together, but she was a very strong influence in it. Just the way that she was so casual. She actually drove us around in her vehicle, which I was like, this is strange. And was like just down to earth, man, super casual. We were looking at properties, and she was very realistic with me and very straight up. And that was like kind of like the first thing. I was like, this real estate seems pretty interesting. So dug into it a little bit more, and I loved how technical you could be with it and how personable. And then the relationship side of things is something I've always been passionate about. So just the combination of all of that, I started kind of laser focusing in on getting my real estate license. Had no idea kind of at what capacity I wanted to operate. Ended up being getting my license while I was still active duty. And I mean, the rest is kind of history. I ended up getting out and then pursuing real estate full time, and that was March 2015. And I've been doing it full time ever since. So it's my real first job outside of the military.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Shane, going back 6 years, if you could do this all over again. So we have people listening, watching from like every stage of real estate. So this will resonate with the people who are just, maybe 1 or 2 years in. If you could go back 6 years in time, what's the one thing that you would tell the Shane Burgman then that the Shane Burgman now knows?
So if I went back 6 years, I would reassure myself and be confident that it's okay to be different, that it's okay to be yourself. Because I remember early on asking my first, broker, like, how do I get leads? How do I do this? And the big encouragement was pop buys, where you like drop by an office and leave them some, here's some mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise. I can't remember the saying. It was awful. But you'd go by and you would just leave like a gift for them. Or it was door knocking, where everyone knows what door knocking is, and not to knock that, but that was one source, right? And then it was cold calling. And all of those things I looked at and I was like, this is going to sound awful, but I was like, I'm too smart to do that. I've always been like, work smarter, not harder. And to me, like in Florida, it's really fucking hot and my kneecaps sweat. So like being outside, I did it, man.
And you need a lot of sunscreen too. I mean,
I need a lot of, I'm probably sunburnt now. I'm in a fucking cavern in here. Yeah, I went 10 years without sun pretty much.
So. Yeah, if you guys haven't, 1, he was obviously in the Navy. 2, he's a ginger. So those things work against him if you're listening to this and not watching. So anyway, sorry, Shane, continue.
No, but yeah, so I think getting confident and knowing that, no matter what your personality is, no matter what kind of humor you have, there's always going to be an audience for that. And to just have the confidence right out of the jump and say, I'm going to be me and do me, and not worry about that this person's wearing a suit to sell these multi-million-dollar homes. Like, fuck that. I don't do that. I wear shirts, maybe a collar, but it's like, you can be yourself and clients are going to kind of gravitate towards that because you're authentic, you're genuine, and it's you deep down. And people, I think, resonate with that. So 6 years back, I would have given myself more confidence about that.
Nice.
I would completely agree with that. And I think that one of the videos, and you can probably tell me when this actually was, but one of the videos that I saw of you that I really, really liked was like you were either longboarding or skateboarding in it. And I was like, oh, okay, like this is totally like what he probably does, like on the weekends or on an afternoon or whatever it may be. And that's where, like, again, I feel like we all have them, the headshots of us in a full suit, and whatever. And I've been getting a lot of, shit from people I know that are like, change your headshot. I've seen you in a full suit once. Like, you wear, t-shirts and blazers, you wear, whatever. So I completely agree with you on that. I think that's huge.
Yeah, not to like, again, knock the people that do those things, because obviously they're successful in that manner, but it doesn't work for everyone. And that, I think, is the thing about real estate, is there's so many different ways to find business, find clients, that you find the avenue that works best for you and you're most comfortable in. And then that's your space.
So Submarine, Shane, like, you're obviously known for just knocking it into the park with your listing videos. They're so funny. Like, it's such a great balance between like the professional side of things, of like actually showing the property, but doing it in the way that Shane wants to do it. It's so easy to be like, be your true self, be your authentic self. But when you get into this industry, you're inundated with that, quote unquote, realtor flex, right? The suits, the cars, the flashiness. What advice could you give to someone? Concrete advice. So be yourself. How does someone break through that real estate noise to truly show their authentic side of things and like kind of go all in on that?
Yeah, I mean, so that could be a multifaceted answer. I think when someone asks me, how do I get a following, or how do I build my community or my audience, the first thing I like to suggest is you have to have patience in that manner, because there's no, I know there are famous quotes from people that a lot of people know. There's no such thing as overnight success, right? Or luck. So being able to do that and stick to kind of a plan. I'm very structured. I have routines with almost everything in my life. And I knew, and still to this day, I try to not get caught up in metrics of things. So
Yeah.
I look at some of my videos still and I'm like, oh man, I got these amount of views when I see what I would consider inferior videos or inferior agents that have this massive following. And I know that deep down, like my audience is more attracted to me. And, I look at my Instagram account and I'm like, I have less than 1,500 followers on there, but I know probably 90% of them, like personally, I've met them, either sold them a house or their family. So I have this really intimate connection with all of those people. And I would prefer quality over quantity and everything. So quality over quantity, having patience with putting your stuff out, because naturally, if you continue doing that, like you will find your small niche group of people. For me, it was pretty easy because being former military veteran status, like I knew that is my audience. I have tattoos, so naturally other people with tattoos like people with tattoos. I have clients that selected me because I have a beard. I have clients that select me because I'm a ginger. I have clients that select me because I swear and like whiskey. Like that's boiled down like my audience, and it's like this joke amongst the team. We were doing personality profile testing, and Leslie is our team's kind of like hoorah manager, just awesome. And so she's like asking us, I need you guys to figure out your ideal avatar. And I was like, okay. I was like, probably between 30 or 40 military status, drinks bourbon, swears a fuck ton, probably has a lot of tattoos. She's like, stop. That's too focused down. I'm like, but it's not. Because that's
like, look at all of my clients.
No, seriously, like, look, I promise you. And then that didn't happen over, it's been 6 years of building this sort of machine of real estate. And it didn't happen in years 1 or 2. That I would say like year 2.5 to 3 was kind of like my breakthrough year, where I started broaching over the 10 million mark and then going beyond.
That's awesome. I that really resonates with me, Shane. The quality versus quantity. Like we all do a ton of social media, and it's you can very quickly point out the ones who, I hate saying this, the ones that have bought followers. Like you can't have 50,000 followers and have like 13 likes on a post.
Well, you have to buy the followers and then buy the likes.
Right.
I'm just kidding. That's not the advice. Do not buy followers and do not buy likes.
But you know what? Like it really is that quality versus quantity. Like it's always, you go to these conferences, I got 50,000 people in my database. Yeah. But how many do you actually know and you converse with on the regular? So I think that's great advice. I think that's epic advice. Shane, let me ask, so how did you get your start in video? Like, did you see someone and you're like, hey, you know what? That's pretty cool. Let me go all in. Did you attend a Tom video? Like, how did you know to kind of really lean into kind of video?
Really great question. So wasn't always like naturally comfortable on camera. I didn't really do too much video stuff in the military because we like couldn't have our phones with us when we were working. So obviously that and there's no need, right? Like why would I be putting myself out there? It didn't start until I was probably transitioning out of the military and learning this thing called networking. And I was like, well, what is that? Like network for what? Like, I don't need to fucking meet people. And they're like, well, if you're in sales, you probably should know a couple people. And so like, I'm joking, but we literally go through this transition course, transition assistance program, TAPS is what it's called, where it's a week-long course where they teach you how to like create a LinkedIn account, all these things we do now that we don't realize, how to use email, how to make an email signature, how to dress professionally for an interview, how to conduct an interview, and then how to kind of like network. And so like that, I was like, okay, this is interesting. So literally like created my LinkedIn account, wasn't really active on Facebook at that point. And then I started kind of like trying to build this account and just started off doing little selfie things. And then I would always like find these little things of like humor that I was like, if I laugh at it, there's probably at least one other person that would laugh at it. So I would try to like condense the video like so down to where I could just get like one little quick like laugh about it. And early on, it was like always my inspector. Like the guy, I don't even know why I found this funny. Like if you look way back at some of my feed, it's just ridiculous. But I would always like post these videos with my inspector where he would be like on a ladder and I would be like underneath him and I would like take a picture or then like do a video about Nick and I would ask him questions and he'd have no idea. And like the perspective would be like underneath his shirt and he's on a ladder. He has no clue what I'm asking him underneath. And his responses to some of this shit was just like funny. And then it just like picked up where like people would comment on. I was like, oh cool, man, people find me funny. Like, all right, I'm a comedian. And then like kind of started working a little bit more into that, but it was never like professional. It was always like on my phone, and then I would post it. I would never go through like an editing process. I didn't really like hone in on that until probably like about 12 months after doing it. And then I started just really absorbing all sorts of content online, really kind of like diving in to copywriting, to marketing, to advertising. And still to this day, it's pretty much it's the only stuff I research. I'm always a student to that. So like all the books like behind me, that's all I was interested in. It's all I read to this day. And I think so early on, it started off with those little videos with my inspector, and then kind of grew to a space to where it was just like humor, like kind of like little jokes.
I love it.
Where do you come up with your ideas for content? Because like now I feel like you have a lot of videos that are like very creative, and like, do you have like a running list in your phone, or you just like, I've got this idea, let me figure it out? What is that?
Yeah, so a lot of things. So I am an avid runner or jogger. I don't actually know what to call that. People call it jogging. Jogging. I mean, I run, but it's not like incredibly fast, but I'm not running from anything. I'm actually doing it for fun. So people are like, it's jogging. But during that time, when I'm jogging or running, whatever you define it as, I tend to get a lot of ideas during that. And I always carry my phone with me, and I have a fanny pack that I run in. And I will literally
does it have an American flag on it?
Yeah. Well, that's one I have. Actually, I ran in it so much that the sweat from my torso devoured the flag. It was really disappointing and a disgrace to the country. I'm so sorry. But that fanny pack. I'm so sorry, America. I need to move to Canada now.
Yeah.
It's like, no thanks, though. Just kidding. Just kidding about the kidding. But it's like a runner's fanny pack. It's really kind of lame, but very efficient, right? And functional. And I need my phone on me because I'll be running and I'll just, do my thing. And I was like, oh shit. And I'll like have an idea just pop in my head. And then I'll like play it back. And it's like, all right, then what happens there? How do we connect it? And then I'll pull this shit out of my fanny pack. I zip it, boom, and it's here. And then I would just record my video, like a video of my face. Like, all right, here's the video. And I'm running and like panting, like, all right, we're going to do this and then have that aspect. And then this is the whole story. And then the humor part of it is that, boom. And then it goes away. And then I get back. And when I start working, I put it into a note. I now just use Apple Notes. I've gone through 3 different note-taking platforms, and we could probably talk an hour about that. But I do have a living note on my phone that has video ideas. And then I actually segregate it down in between like short video, which I know Katie, you just posted about jumping into. So I have TikTok reels, I have long form, I have listing ideas. And then I have like shit that's not related to real estate at all, but I still am going to put it on my real estate page.
That's sweet. Shane, let me ask you, so someone who takes so much time and thought into creating listing videos and these well curated, crafted pieces of, production, digital production, I'm a part of some other groups, and, this whole concept of people copying your ideas, realtors specifically, what's your take on that? Because this is a really big, like hot topic issue that I've been seeing a lot on a lot of the social media pages and groups I'm a part of. You, as someone who takes the time to do all of this and put all the work in, what are your thoughts about someone copying your content?
I think it's bad advice from Tom Ferry, because I know that he pushes that shit. And, I'm a Tom Ferry coaching client. I have a lot of respect for the guy, but I feel like that's one piece of advice that probably should not be repeated or pushed to real estate agents. Because essentially, you could replicate a video to a point. But deep down, I mean, you're stealing is really what that is. So from like an ethical situation, I always felt uncomfortable about it and would never do that. And then also you're kind of like conning the world into them, trying to get them to think that you're this funny person that you're not. So you're stealing someone else's ideas, maybe not giving them credit, and then you're pushing it on your channels and hoping that those two will never connect. I don't like it. I don't agree with it. I know people do it, and there are certain maybe structures to content that can be shared or should be followed. But if someone like tried to replicate one of my videos like to the T, and I know that happens, I always think I want them to try because I know they'll fail. Like I know they won't be able to do it because it wasn't their original idea, and they're not going to know at what piece of humor I put in there and why the timing is the timing. So I know they can try. I would encourage them, but I know ultimately they wouldn't be able to succeed at the same way that I did. Nice. And I don't know if that's like really pompous attitude to it, but that's how I think about it. If someone's going to replicate someone's content, they're not going to be able to do it in the same manner it should. And I think that is pretty transparent from a viewer's standpoint. And I don't think that what do they call it? R&R, replicate and repeat or something?
R&D,
R&D.
rip off and duplicate.
Rip off and duplicate. Yeah, I think that's the worst advice ever.
The one thing that I really like, because I've seen some, right, and some have been done well and some have not been done well. And this is nothing on that I've seen of yours or whatever, but like when it's word for word the same thing, because I'm like, if you're inspired by someone, that's something, but when it's like literally the same script, I'm like, I've heard this before. Oh, yep, never mind. But
yeah, no, that's really disappointing too, and especially if they don't give the credit. You know, if it's word for word, that's just fucked up.
Yeah.
If it's a concept, I feel like it's gray. Like you can steal, you can use someone's concept, especially if it's a collaboration. Like if I reach out to one of the other agents over here and I'm like, hey man, I really like that idea. Let's collaborate on it and do it together. And like that's acceptable, but don't steal someone's shit and push it out and pretend it's your own. Like you can go to federal prison on other levels for that stuff. So
you can. All right, let's go in a different direction. I feel like we could talk about video for a while. So curious.
Gosh, I'm gonna be fired from Tom Ferry now. Thanks a lot, guys.
He can't fire another ginger.
That's true. He's kind of like not a full blood ginger though. I don't know.
Okay.
It's a ginger thing.
Yeah, not 100% pure. I'll let him know. I'm sure he's listening to this. He's 25 minutes into our podcast. Like, what are they talking about now?
So he has this great relationship with my boss, and he's
I know. So
like,
yeah,
fucking Shane's gone. He gone.
I
had a great 6-year run, guys.
He's gonna send Kirk like the Homer Simpson going back into the back into the bushes, and he's like, "That's actually Shane. He's no longer in the ecosystem."
That's so funny.
Yeah, his license is gone.
You should also deactivate him from your brokerage. But anyways, so Kirk, don't do it.
Yeah, please. I have children.
Yeah. Anyways, so I don't know if it was a full joke or if it was truly. Have you spun off a team in your team, or was that a spoof?
No, so that's a real thing. So oh man. So when you do a lot of humor, I mean, I've always had this issue where I'm so sarcastic that people sometimes don't know when I am. And it's like this problem because even when I'm trying to like genuinely maybe compliment my wife, she doesn't know if it's like real or not, right? Like, oh no, baby, you look so great. She's like, you see, like,
are you effing with me? Yeah.
You're beautiful. Like I married you. You're beautiful. Like I'm not gonna. Are you kidding me? But like in like real world, it is a problem where I'm too sarcastic sometimes, and it's hard for people to take me seriously. But so Shane Burgman Group is we've been talking about it amongst our team for a while. And when I say we, it's like Dwayne, Kirk, and myself about. They know that my audience is military, and they know that I'm like the military guy for the team, and they know that like they have goals that I want to accomplish, and they know that they want to keep pushing me for that. They're my accountability partners 100%. So it was a lot of their ideas, like you should kind of start, creating this. And the way that I structure it is it's like a division within a department. So like CK would be the department. I'm the division, just Shane Burgman Group, where it's predominantly military, and I can build my own team within the team. So like I have a full-time assistant, I have a full-time videographer. I just can't find good agents that I trust. So I'm like just fucked on that 3 times. But that's like the whole concept. At all.
It's fine.
No, they suck. Yeah, they suck. I hope you're watching. No, I'm just kidding.
Not kidding.
They won't
not
be
kidding.
watching.
Yeah.
Kidding, not kidding. They're not going to be watching. They won't be watching. Maybe one of them will. Well, fuck you. No. Sorry. Too much. I got to calm down.
How much coffee? Okay. So anyway, so you started a team. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It wasn't a joke. I'm glad you asked though. I didn't know it would come across as a joke.
No, I didn't think that it was. So I wasn't sure when I saw it on Instagram. I wasn't sure if you'd gone on your own, but then the next week I saw you with the CK signs. I was like, all right, so he's still there. So I figured just knowing the setup with them, the Carpenter Kessel Compass deal, I was like, I figured that's what the thing was. And then I just never, slid into your DMs to ask you about it. And then you're here now. So that's where we are. So
no, you're not the first person to ask me. And that was probably my fault. Not enough context. Not enough context creates questions and assumptions. So, it was that was an error on my part of not providing enough context.
Well, and really if a bunch of realtors are wondering about something, whatever, but, as long as you're creating a strong brand for, Carpenter Kessel, Shane Burgman Group, Compass in, Space Coast area, then great. You're doing the intended result. So.
Yeah. And I think every agent should be doing that, whether you're on a team individual or whatever, like you should always be thinking about branding yourself and what you bring to the world. So I feel like every agent should have that, maybe they don't have group or team or whatever behind it, but it's like their name, or at least what they stand for. I feel like that should be prominent. And Dwayne and Kirk support that 100%. My first time when I interviewed with them, even about working with them, that was one of the things I had talked about. And that, that was 3.5 years ago. And they said, this absolutely. Yeah. I support it 100%. And so it's now kind of just coming to fruition to where I'm just really focusing on a very high level group of people that I want to work with. Even more than our team, which like our team's extremely high level, but like a different version of that where, they're all maybe rugged, rough around the edges where like, the misfits can kind of get together and still be like, yeah, we are great real estate agents.
Sweet. Shane, you being in the industry for 6 years, obviously incredibly smart. You know what's up. What do you see as kind of that disruptor, right? What do you think the next disruptor is going to be in the real estate industry, whether it's video, the marketing, mortgage companies essentially just gobbling up all these real estate agents, one service, one umbrella. What do you think is that one big disruptor that's heading our way?
Not Zillow iBuying, that's for sure. I don't know if it's too soon to kick them while they're down, but that was kind of a surprise, I think, to a lot of people. I think big disruptors are going to be these brokerages that are gobbling up high competition, top tier agents and or teams, and then creating 5 brokerages that are dominating every market, and then all the other ones below it are going to kind of suffer. And I kind of see that happening now, whether it's like I have a lot of respect for Real. I think Compass has a lot of similarities. There's a couple other that I just kind of hone in on and look at, but I feel like that's going to be a disruptor where real estate is going to be all teams. And if you're a solo agent, you're just going to be kind of screwed, because ultimately deep down, like what seller, what buyer wants to work with just one person? Because if that, asset goes on vacation, like they're fucked. So they always want to have that team space. And also once they work with a team once, they'll never go back to a single agent, just because of an experience standpoint. So I feel like the biggest disruptor, and it's probably been happening for like maybe 4 years, our team, and with a proper structure. And I don't mean team like, Bobby Joe and Dylan got together because they're cousins and they're married, and then they started a team right out in Indiana, in Crane specifically. We're joking back. It's like a
full circle.
But like a husband-wife duo, right? That they call themselves a team, but deep down they're just like 2 agents that do the same shit, but they have no structure. Like I don't mean those teams. I mean the teams that are like high performing, fully structured, have salaried employees, have systems and a structure that like every deal is the same. Every process is the same. When someone goes into that team as a consumer or client, like they know exactly the experience they're going to get. I'm talking about those kind of teams. I think those are going to be the ones where if you're not on a team already or thinking about it, I think you probably should.
That's great advice. I echo your sentiments. I think that's absolutely where real estate is headed 100%. So that's kind of heating great advice. That's great advice. Okay, Shane, we're going to end this off with a question that kind of rules them all. And this question is, Shane, your last meal on earth. What is it? Either someone's making it for you or you're going to a restaurant to buy it. What is it and why?
I feel like you started with burrito enthusiast.
I know.
I was also going to say, like, I mean, whatever on burritos, but my last question, my last question, if you didn't answer the burrito, was going to be, what's your favorite burrito? So if you want to table the burrito for now and answer something else, that's fine. But if you want to go the burrito route, that's fine too. Totally up to you. It's your world, man.
And I could ask you a sub question to be like whiskey, burrito, last meal.
Let's do sub. Let's do 3 subs. All right. So last meal, I've always loved like a good classic Thanksgiving dinner. Just my favorite, right? Turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, stuffing, and I love Brussels sprouts. I don't know if you like
even like boiled grandma Brussels sprouts.
No, fuck no. Don't bring those anywhere. You can keep those in Texas. Don't bring them anywhere further east of that. I'm talking like broiled. Yeah. Right. A nice char.
Yeah.
A little bit of salt, pepper, and maybe a vinaigrette. That's all you need on it. You don't even need the vinaigrette. It could just be salt and pepper. But like that, like just a good classic Thanksgiving dinner. I always love. I could eat it. I don't want to say every night because I'd be massive, but like once a week, I could easily do that. Sub number 2, favorite burrito. I feel like carne asada is another classic that a lot of people don't do it right. You don't start seeing it right until probably Texas and then into New Mexico. And then I think Arizona, California can rock though. I'm from Arizona, like that's full disclosure, but I feel like those regions just knock carne asada out of the park. So a good carne asada burrito. And even if you have the opportunity to try a California burrito, like a real California burrito, not meaning a burrito from California, but there's actually a burrito called a California burrito.
Oh,
it's a carne asada burrito. Refried beans, guacamole, cheese, sour cream, and French fries. That combination is
game over
together
Yeah.
in a tortilla, and it will change your life. So California burrito is the jam. And then number 3. So I was just having this chat earlier about whiskey. So I don't want to say like I've had a lot of whiskey because that's like you're an alcoholic, you have a problem. But I've had a lot of whiskey, and I've gotten to the point where like my body doesn't respond to it very well. So I've had to kind of like detour my drinking, because I think it's just like I'm like I'm 34, and my body is just like, no, bro, you're getting heartburn now. It's like, nope, we're not gonna. It's like
You're
rejecting
taking like
shit
antacids with
all the time. No, I mean I snort those things because that's how you get it into your bloodstream quicker. But like you gotta. There's a faster way, but we're not going to talk about it on this show. Not from experience. I read about it. I read about it one time.
My buddy told me.
Yeah, no, I had a friend.
I had a friend.
Yeah, my friend told me about that. But I've been doing like more gins and vodkas and then tequilas. And I think it's a combination of just like my body's not responding well to whiskeys, and then also whiskey got like really popular. And I'm the type of guy. It's like I don't want to be like that hipster that's just like, grow my mustache, shave the rest of my beard, and like drink these fancy whiskeys. I enjoy it, but I'm always like, all right, what's like a next trend that I can get on, an early adopter? And I think that's like the ultimate hipster, and I'm probably like an ultimate hipster, I guess. Unfortunately.
Sweet. Awesome. Cool. Well, Shane, we just want to say thank you so much for your infinite wisdom, your incredible personality that obviously shone through during the podcast, the many laughs. It's so great to see kind of your meteoric rise in real estate, your crushing video. You've really found your niche in the real estate world with regards to service. Is that the correct terminal? Service people? The Army, Navy, you have it. Military, which is amazing. We wish you much continued success on the growth of your team. So hopefully you will find some great agents to align yourself with very, very soon. For the few people who don't know who you are or where to go to find more about you, where should we be directing people to come and check you out and follow you?
If I plugged any of my pages, it would be people that I don't really know, and it would be like counteractive to what we talked about earlier. But I think each one of my social accounts are a little bit different. I put different content there for different strategy. Facebook is just Shane Burgman. It's my first and last name. Instagram, you could probably guess what that is. It's just Shane Burgman. And then YouTube, any guesses what that is?
S Burgman, Burgman S, Burgman Shane.
Very close. It's
Sir Shane. Okay.
So those are the 3 that I spend most of my time around. TikTok, just can't do it. Not for me.
That's so strange that you say TikTok is not for you. I think you would crush TikTok with your personality. 100%. 100%.
I just like I have a lot of shit in my head, man. And like if I was to use TikTok, I'd have to like exit something else. Like data dump is what we call it in the military. Like when you're leaving, like I'm forgetting all that shit. I think it's just like another thing that consume your time and learn. And then like, you get in this like hamster wheel of like, well, I got to post here. And it's just like, it's just stress, man. So I think to like, alleviate that, I have to keep it pretty easy. And it works for me. You guys do great on all platforms. But for me, it's just another one that I couldn't dedicate the time in my mind to.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Shane. We look forward to seeing you in person real soon. And again, wishing you and your family the best in 2021 and a kick-ass 2022, my friend.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Have a good one.
You too.